My name is Alda Howell, 32 years old. 3 years ago, I started a software company with a woman who changed my life. Her name was Eleanor Grant. She was 68 years old, a retired marketing executive who had spent 40 years building brands for Fortune 500 companies. By the time I met her, she was semi-retired, consulting part-time, only taking on projects that made her eyes light up. I was 24 then, fresh out of business school, full of polished confidence and almost no real-world wisdom. I knew how to pitch an idea. I knew how to sound ambitious. But I didn't know how to build something that could survive pressure. Eleanor did. She took me under her wing when nobody else would. She taught me how to negotiate without sounding desperate, how to read silence in a meeting, how to know when someone was testing me, and how to walk away before pride turned into ruin. When I finally came to her with the idea for my company, she didn't just encourage me. She invested $175,000 of her retirement savings. I still remember staring at the number on the paperwork, my hands cold. "Eleanor, this is your future," I whispered. She smiled like she had already seen mine. "No, Alda, this is belief." For 3 years, we built the company together. She handled client relationships and strategy. I handled product development and operations. We grew from 2 people in a rented shared office to a team of 14 with real revenue. Not a unicorn, not some flashy billion-dollar fantasy, but profitable, stable. Ours? Then there was my boyfriend, Nathan Carter. Nathan had been in my life for 2.5 years. We got engaged 8 months ago. He was smart, ambitious, charming in the way that made people trust him quickly. He worked in pharmaceutical sales and knew how to make every conversation feel like a pitch. At first, he seemed supportive of my business. He even invested $15,000 during a small friends and family round 18 months earlier. I thought it meant he believed in me. Now, I wonder if he only wanted a seat close enough to control the table. The first comments started small. "She's very attached to you. Why does Eleanor call you on weekends? You smile every time you talk about her." I laughed at first because it sounded absurd. "She's my mentor, Nathan. She's 68. But he never laughed with me. Soon the questions became sharper. He wanted to see my texts. He interrogated me after client meetings. He asked what we talked about, whether she complimented me, whether she touched my arm. One night, I stared at him across the kitchen and said, "You understand she's married, right? 3 years, 3 grandchildren." He shrugged. "That doesn't mean anything." That was when something inside me went quiet, because I realized he wasn't confused. He had chosen suspicion, and he wanted me to live inside it with him. Last week, he issued his ultimatum. We were having dinner at home when he set down his fork and looked at me with that rehearsed seriousness I had come to dread. "I've been thinking about our future," he said. "The wedding, kids, everything." "Okay," I said slowly, "and I realized I can't marry you while she's still in the picture." My stomach dropped. "Who?" He made air quotes. "Your business partner." I stared at him. "Nathan, Eleanor is my mentor." "I don't care. She invested her life savings in me." "I don't care. She helped me build this company." "I don't care." Then he leaned back, calm and certain. "Buy her out. Fire her. I don't care how you do it. But if you want to marry me, you need to choose." His eyes hardened. Her or me? For a moment, all I could hear was the hum of the refrigerator. This woman had believed in me when I was nobody with a dream. She had worked weekends, taken midnight calls, defended me in rooms where people underestimated me before I even opened my mouth. And Nathan wanted me to betray her because he was jealous of a 68-year-old grandmother. I looked down at my plate. Then I looked back at him. "Let me consider this." His face softened instantly. He smiled like he had won. "Thank you. I knew you'd see it my way." I did see it, just not the way he meant. The next morning, I called my lawyer. Nathan's $15,000 investment had bought him a small equity stake, about 2%. No voting rights, no operational control. My lawyer told me I could offer to buy him out at fair market value. He could accept or refuse, but either way, he had no authority over the business. So I drafted the offer, $22,000 for his 2% stake. More than fair. More than he deserved, considering what he had asked of me. I sent the agreement with one short note. I think it's best we end both our personal and business relationship cleanly. Please sign the attached buyout agreement, and I'll wire the funds within 48 hours. He called within minutes. What is this? A buyout offer. Silence. Then his voice turned cold. You chose her. No, I said. I chose not to fire a 68-year-old woman who invested her life savings in me because my fiancé is irrationally jealous of her. You're throwing away our future over some old lady? I'm ending a relationship with someone who thinks love means control. He swore under his breath. You'll regret this. No, Nathan. I think this is the first decision I won't regret. He hung up. That afternoon I changed the locks on my apartment. He had been staying mostly at his own place anyway, so there wasn't much to pack. A toothbrush, a few shirts, 2 books, a watch charger. I put everything in a box and left it with the front desk. Then I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the quiet space where my future with him used to be. I expected to cry. Instead, I felt still, not happy, not free yet. Just still, like my body had finally stopped preparing for the next accusation. 5 days passed with no word from him. No apology, no signed papers, no explosion, just silence. Then I told Eleanor what happened. We were in the office conference room after everyone else had left. The city lights reflected against the glass walls, and for a second I felt 24 again, terrified she would be disappointed in me. Instead, she stood up and hugged me. Hard. That man, she said, her voice shaking with anger, is a complete fool. I laughed because if I didn't, I might break. Then she pulled back, straightened her blazer, and nodded toward the pitch deck open on the screen. Now, she said, let's go win that contract next week. And just like that, the world kept moving. We were finalists for the biggest client in our company's history, a contract that could change everything. Eleanor and I had spent weeks preparing. Win or lose, I knew I had made the right choice. But as I looked at the empty seat across the conference table, I had the strangest feeling Nathan wasn't finished. He had lost control of me, and men like Nathan rarely walk away quietly. 3 weeks later, everything changed. First, we won the contract. Not just won it, we absolutely dominated the pitch. The client later told us our presentation was the most compelling proposal they had seen in months. Eleanor's 40 years of experience combined with the product we had spent years building created something none of our competitors could match. When the contract was signed, I stared at the numbers twice to make sure they were real. A 2-year deal worth $340,000 annually. The biggest client in our company's history. By a huge margin. I called Eleanor immediately. She answered before the first ring finished. Well? She asked. We got it. For a moment there was silence. Then she laughed. Not the polite laugh she used with clients. The genuine one. The one that always made me smile. I knew it, she said. I absolutely knew it. A few minutes later, her voice softened. I'm proud of you, Alda. I had heard those words before, from teachers, from friends, from family. But hearing them from Eleanor hit differently, because she had seen every failure, every panic attack, every sleepless night, every moment I almost gave up. I won't pretend I didn't get emotional. I did. A little. Maybe more than a little. Meanwhile, Nathan finally signed the buyout agreement. The paperwork came back without a single comment. No apology. No explanation. Nothing. Par. La part mal. La parter. La parter. La partaven. $22,000. Clean separation. At least that's what I thought. I was wrong. About a week later, Messages started arriving from mutual friends. At first, they seemed harmless. Hey, heard about the breakup. You okay? Then the questions became stranger. Did something happen with your business partner? Another one said, just wanted to hear your side. My side? What side? Confused, I called one of my closest friends, Lauren. She hesitated before speaking. Alda, Nathan's been telling people things. What things? A pause. Then, he's saying you were having an emotional affair. I almost dropped my phone. What? He's telling people he caught you crossing boundaries with Eleanor. I sat in stunned silence. Eleanor is 68 years old. I know. She's married. I know. She has grandchildren. I know. Lauren sighed. He's conveniently leaving those details out. Of course he was. Suddenly, everything made sense. The strange messages. The awkward conversations. The looks from certain people. Nathan wasn't telling the truth. He was building a story. And in his version, he was the victim. The loyal fiancé betrayed by a woman who chose another relationship over him. A relationship he intentionally made sound romantic. I sat at my desk for nearly an hour after that call. Part of me wanted to fight back, to call everyone, to explain, to defend myself. But the more I thought about it, the less appealing that sounded. The people who truly knew me would ask questions. The people who instantly believed Nathan without hearing my side weren't really close friends to begin with. So instead of launching a defense campaign, I sent a simple message to 5 people who mattered most. The message read, if you've heard rumors about my breakup, I'm happy to explain. Nathan demanded I remove my 68-year-old mentor and business partner from the company because he was jealous of our professional relationship. I refused. That's the entire story. If you'd like the truth, you can always ask me directly. 4 responded within hours. 1 invited me for coffee. Every single one believed me. That told me everything I needed to know. I thought the drama would fade. Instead, Nathan escalated. A few days later, Eleanor forwarded me an email. The sender was Nathan. The subject line alone made my stomach tighten. I opened it. The message read, I know you think you've won, but someday she'll do the same thing to you. Women like her always move on when someone more useful comes along. You're just valuable right now. When she doesn't need you anymore, she'll throw you away exactly the way she threw me away. I hope you're proud of yourself for destroying our engagement. I stared at the screen. Then I looked at Eleanor. She was trying not to laugh. Please tell me you didn't respond. Oh, I responded. My eyes widened. Eleanor. What? He emailed me. She slid her laptop toward me. Her response contained only a few lines. Nathan, I am 68 years old. I have been married for 43 years and have 3 grandchildren. I'm not entirely sure what relationship you think exists between Alda and me, but I assure you it is business. I recommend spending less time blaming a grandmother and more time examining your own behavior. She had copied me on it. I laughed so hard I nearly cried. Nathan never responded, but deep down, I knew he wasn't finished. People driven by wounded pride rarely stop after one defeat. A month passed. Business was booming. The new contract generated referrals. The referrals generated meetings. The meetings generated revenue. We hired 2 additional employees. For the first time since launching the company, growth was actually exceeding our projections. Life felt good again. Then, another problem arrived. This time in my inbox. A prospective client we had been courting sent me an email. The subject line immediately made my stomach drop. Before we moved forward, I opened it. The procurement director explained that they had received an anonymous message regarding our company. The email claimed there were serious internal issues, hostile workplace dynamics, ethical concerns, management problems. Nothing specific. Just vague accusations designed to create doubt. The client admitted they generally ignored anonymous complaints, but wanted to give us an opportunity to respond. I immediately requested a copy. When it arrived, I knew exactly who had sent it. There was no signature, no proof, no evidence, but I knew every sentence felt like Nathan, the same bitterness, the same resentment, the same obsession. I called my attorney. She listened carefully. Then she gave me advice. Document everything. What can we do? Right now? Not much. Anonymous accusations are difficult to prove. But if this becomes a pattern, the situation changes. A pattern. The phrase stuck with me. So I started a folder. Every rumor, every message, every suspicious incident, everything went into it. Then I responded professionally to the client. I explained that our company had no ethical issues, no workplace concerns, and a strong history of satisfied clients. I offered references, testimonials, direct conversations with existing customers. 1 week later, they signed with us. Nathan's attempt had failed. Again, but something told me he wasn't done trying. And unfortunately, I was right. Unfortunately, Nathan's obsession was only getting worse. About a week after the anonymous email incident, 2 people in my professional network contacted me separately. Both conversations began almost identically. "Hey, this is probably nothing, but I thought you should know." That phrase instantly put me on alert. The first person sent me screenshots. The second forwarded messages. When I opened them, my stomach tightened. Someone had created a fake professional profile and was privately contacting people connected to me. The messages were carefully written, not openly defamatory, not aggressive, just subtle enough to plant doubt. Be careful working with Alda Howell. You may not know the full story. There are serious concerns about how her company operates. The profile used a different name, but the photograph belonged to Nathan, an older headshot taken from one of his social media accounts. Whoever created it had made very little effort to hide the connection. I reported the account immediately. Several others did the same. Within days, the profile disappeared. But the removal didn't make me feel better. It made me nervous, because Nathan wasn't acting like someone trying to move on. He was acting like someone who couldn't accept losing. The folder on my laptop continued growing. Rumors, screenshots, emails, dates, times, every incident carefully documented. Then came the moment that changed everything. A Saturday afternoon, Eleanor was home with her husband when her phone rang. Unknown number. Normally she ignored those calls. For some reason she answered. It was Nathan. At first he sounded calm. Then the conversation spiraled. According to Eleanor, he spent nearly 15 minutes ranting, blaming her for our breakup, accusing her of manipulating me, claiming she had turned me against him. At one point he called her a predator. At another, he accused her of destroying the best relationship I would ever have. The entire thing was absurd and disturbing. What Nathan didn't know was that Eleanor had spent decades in corporate leadership. She had dealt with hostile clients, dishonest executives, and legal disputes. Experience had taught her an important lesson. Always protect yourself. So the moment the conversation became aggressive, she began recording it. Our state required only one-party consent. The recording was perfectly legal. When she played it for me the following Monday, I felt physically sick. Not because I was surprised, because I wasn't. Deep down, I had been expecting something like this. What unsettled me was hearing how disconnected from reality he sounded. Every accusation, every insult, every attempt to blame someone else. Nathan genuinely believed he was the victim, even after everything. I called my attorney immediately. This time her response was very different. We have enough. Enough. One word. But it changed everything. The anonymous emails, the fake profile, the rumors, the direct harassment. Together they established a pattern. My attorney drafted a cease and desist letter. It outlined every documented incident, every attempt to interfere with my business, every attempt to harass Eleanor, every attempt to damage my professional reputation. The final paragraph was simple. Any future contact, direct or indirect, would result in legal action. The letter was sent through certified mail. Nathan signed for it. And suddenly, silence. Real silence. Not the temporary silence that comes before another attack. Actual silence. Weeks passed. Then months. Nothing. For the first time since our breakup, I felt like I could finally breathe. Meanwhile, the company kept growing. The major contract generated new opportunities. New opportunities generated new clients. New clients generated more revenue. Our team expanded again. By the beginning of the next quarter, we were outperforming nearly every forecast we had created. Then something happened that neither Eleanor nor I expected. We were nominated for Startup of the Year by the Regional Business Association. When the email arrived, I read it 3 times. Then I called Eleanor. Her reaction was immediate. Alda. What? We are absolutely buying new outfits. I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. The awards gala took place 6 months after my breakup with Nathan. Walking into that ballroom felt surreal. There were larger companies, flashier founders, people with impressive backgrounds and investor connections. Compared to them, we felt small. Just a profitable software company, built through stubbornness, trust, and a lot of late nights. I honestly didn't think we would win. Then they announced our category. And somehow, we did. For a moment I couldn't move. The room erupted into applause. Eleanor squeezed my hand. Get up there, she whispered. We accepted the award together. Exactly the way we had built the company. Together. Eleanor spoke first. She talked about believing in people before they believe in themselves, about taking chances on potential, about mentorship. Then it was my turn. I looked out across the room, and suddenly I saw my entire journey. The tiny office, the sleepless nights, the rejected proposals, the risks, the sacrifices, the people who stood beside me, and the people who tried to make me choose between success and loyalty. The most valuable partnerships, I said, are built on trust, not control, not fear, trust. The standing ovation lasted longer than I expected, long enough that I had to blink away tears. The following week, photos from the event appeared everywhere. Local business journals, industry websites, regional newspapers. Nothing viral, but enough visibility that people started recognizing our company's name. Then something unexpected happened. Nathan's mother called me. The number was unfamiliar. I almost ignored it. Almost. When I answered, her voice sounded nervous. Alda? Yes? I saw your company won an award. We did. A pause. Then, Nathan saw the photos. I already knew where the conversation was going. Okay, he's been struggling since the breakup. I remained silent. He really loved you. For a brief moment, I considered ending the call. Instead, I told the truth. He demanded I fire the woman who invested her life savings in my company because he was jealous of her. Silence. He made a mistake. I continued. He spread rumors. More silence. He contacted clients. Nothing. He created fake accounts. Still nothing. He harassed my business partner until my attorney had to intervene. The silence became heavy. Finally, she spoke. You seem very cold. I looked through my office window toward the team working outside. The company Eleanor and I had built. The future we had protected. Then I answered. I'm not being cold. I'm being clear. A few seconds later, I ended the call. That was the last time anyone from Nathan's family contacted me. Today, nearly a year later, life is peaceful. The company is thriving. We're projecting 40% growth. We're exploring expansion into a second market. And perhaps most importantly, I've learned what real support looks like. A partner should never ask you to destroy the people who helped build your dreams. A partner should never weaponize jealousy. A partner should never force loyalty tests. A few weeks ago, Eleanor invited me to dinner. Her husband cooked. Her grandchildren ran around the house. At one point, her 7-year-old grandson sat beside me and spent almost an hour showing me his Minecraft world. As I sat there listening to him explain every block he'd placed, I found myself smiling. Not because we had won awards, not because the company was successful, but because I had chosen the right people. Some choices in life are complicated. This one never was. Nathan asked me to choose between control and loyalty, between insecurity and trust, between betrayal and integrity. The choice wasn't difficult. Not then, not now, not even for a second.